Well, hey friends, welcome back to Remix Moments with Martine, where we remix your mindset one moment at a time. And today, I want to talk about something that I know so many of you need to hear. And this was really inspired by my coaching and talking with my coaching clients, and just reminded me of a season of transition for me as well. And here is what I want you to know. You don't have to build an empire to make a big impact. So we live in a world where bigger is better, go big or go home is the message, right? We hear it all the time. And we see people online scaling their businesses, hitting 6 and 7 figures, maybe growing their following. And we think, is that what success has to look like? But what if dreaming big doesn't always mean doing big things? What if the small, simple things you do every day are already creating the impact that you're chasing? So I want to challenge the idea that you have to go big to make a difference. And by the end of this episode, I hope that you'll feel a sense of relief and clarity as my client did as we talked through this, and knowing that the way you show up right now matters. Welcome to Remix Moments with Martine, where we will remix your mindset one moment at a time. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm here to bring you a quick burst of inspiration, insight, and a fresh spin on your mompreneur journey. In just a few minutes, we'll remix your mindset, energize your day, and keep you moving forward with purpose. Let's dive in to today's moment. So you've probably have heard the phrase, go big or go home, but I do want to remix that today. What if going big just means going deeper in connection? Going deeper with the people that you have right in front of you right now. So I used to believe that success meant reaching the most people, doing more, constantly scaling. And while there's nothing wrong with expansion, I have plenty of people in my circle who, in my friend group, who they're big dreamers. And so if you are that, this is not to tell you to not dream big anymore, because if that's brings you so much joy and you like to dream big and you like to think about big things, then that's awesome. So this is not like this is the right way and that's the wrong way. This is for the person who hears that phrase, dream big, and it feels scary. It feels like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that's in this season right now what I have the capacity to do, or that it's just not something that I'm interested in doing. But we hear this, right? We go to conferences and we hear motivational speakers. And honestly, I have said it many times, probably even here on this podcast. And I just want you to know that I started to notice some things. Some of the biggest impacts in my life didn't come from grand, flashy moments. They came from small, intentional ones. Think about it. A teacher who changed the trajectory of your life with just one sentence. I remember one conversation with a college professor in a really painful time of my life, how much that made an impact on my life. And we are still friends to this day. And that was, I'm not going to tell you when, a long time ago. Maybe it's a friend who showed up for you when you were struggling. Maybe it was a business owner who helped you feel seen and heard. These weren't people with massive platforms probably, but they made a lasting difference in your life. I want you to take a second and ask yourself, what if dreaming big simply meant showing up where you are with what you have right now? What if the way you listen to your child today, or the way you encourage a friend, is exactly the kind of impact that matters most? What if the work you're doing right now matters more than you realize? When we talk about impact, we often think about numbers, right? How many people, especially as entrepreneurs, we're thinking about how many people, how much money, how big something gets. But I want to flip that a little bit today and help you to think about, one of my favorite examples of this is the ripple effect, right? Picture throwing a small pebble into a pond. The ripples spread far beyond where that pebble lands. That's what happens when you make even the smallest impact in someone's life. And I see it every day. I see it in my own coaching, with my own clients. I see it in the coaching programs that I'm in. I see it all around me. These little things that are making a big impact. And so maybe there's a small action that you are taking right now, or that you have taken in the past, that has had a lasting effect on someone. And maybe you don't even realize it. Like, I remember one of my mentors said to me one time, just because you can't see the impact doesn't mean that it's not happening. And that really, really spoke to me, because there are some days, and I think I've said this before, where I'm like, is anybody listening? Is anybody following? Is anyone paying attention? Is what I'm doing, does it matter? Does it matter? And the truth is that impact isn't measured in likes, followers, or revenue. It's measured in the lives that you touch. And you don't always see that full effect of what you do. That encouraging message that you sent, that might have been exactly what someone needed to hear today. That story that you shared from a place of vulnerability, it might have helped another mompreneur feel less alone. And I talk to so many women who feel stuck because they think if they're not scaling, they're failing. And they feel like their businesses, their brand, or even their life isn't big enough to matter. Like, I've had people even say this about their own story. So, even your faith journey. So, like, I've had some of my peers and friends who have said, I didn't come from a really horrible childhood, so my story doesn't matter. Or I can't have as big of impact because I didn't go from like this really tragic, traumatic childhood to where I am now in my faith. And I'm like, your story matters regardless. We need to hear all the stories. All the stories make an impact. So think about that. Like, as you're talking about your business, most of you are probably in business because you have a story behind the product and services that you are sharing with other people. And no story is too small for you to share. If you have figured out a way to help your kids sleep through the night, that's a story to share. If you had figured out how to create systems so that you can stop spinning your wheels and wasting your time, then that's a story to tell. It doesn't matter how big the story is. The impact will be the same, because there's someone out there who needs to hear what your story is. They need to hear what you say. So let's get real for just a second. Chasing bigger can sometimes lead straight to burnout. I have been there. You've heard me talk about this, pushing myself to do more, build more, be more, only to realize that I was so busy trying to go big that I was missing the moments that actually mattered. Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up, and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
When I started coaching with Martine, I was extremely burned out, overwhelmed, very stressed, and I knew I needed to make some changes. So I reached out, and over the course of time, she helped me realize that I needed to take back control of my schedule, create boundaries, and then along the way, I had a huge transition in my business, and she helped me figure out my next steps and help me structure a new business. And she's been there for me and been able to help guide me with her advice and her knowledge. Without her, I could not be where I am today.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. And I remember when when I retired from 31 and I went into that season of rest and was thinking about my next and thinking about what I wanted to do next and what I wanted it to look like. And, I had built the large organization. I had all of the, amazing opportunities to speak on large stages and to lead all these women and make all this money and being in a very influential position. And I can remember during that time frame thinking, I'm so thankful for this season of rest. And also, like, is that what I want to build next? Not that I didn't love what I built for 16 years, because I did, but I wanted this season to be at a different pace. And I wanted this season to be built differently. And again, not discrediting what I did before or that I didn't enjoy what I did before, but for this season, chasing bigger was not appealing to me. Building a large company as a coach and this large brand and having 10 people on my team and managing and leading that is just right now not appealing to me. And so that's really where the Lord gave me that thought, was that you don't have to build a big empire just because you're seeing other people do it to have a big impact. And it's like, we know this, but when I really sat there and thought about it, I'm like, that's what I'm chasing. And it's exhausting for me. And I don't want that at this time. And as I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, we were talking about this dream big, and she was like, thank you so much for just sharing that dreaming big doesn't have to be like, I'm this leader of this big company, or that I have all of this money and all of these people that I'm like, she's like, I hear people say that. And I think I really love what I have right now. And it's small, but it's also mighty. The impact that she's having in her own home with her own children and family is really exciting to her and impactful for her right now. And so that's really what inspired this conversation for this podcast is, if you hear those words, dream big, and you think it means chase and build an empire, I just wanted to help you to kind of have a reframe. And for some of you, you might be like, oh my goodness, yes, like I'm content where I'm at right now. And maybe I'm living my big dream right now because I'm living in a very simple, small business. There's nothing wrong with that. So let me ask you, are you chasing something because you truly want it, or because you feel like you should? There's that word, I don't love should, because someone told you that you should, or you're following, all these amazing people on Instagram that give so many tips about business and entrepreneurship and motherhood. But maybe you're feeling like you should be chasing something that you don't really want. Are you sacrificing peace for the sake of progress and the hustle? What would happen if you gave yourself permission to build slowly, intentionally, in a way that feels good for you? Like, y'all, it is a different feeling when you give yourself permission to do it in that way. And some of you are like fast and furious and you love the chase and you love the grind and go for it. I did at one point, but right now I'm really excited to build slowly, intentionally, and in a way that feels good for me in the season that I'm in. So here's the permission slip you didn't know you needed. You don't have to build an empire to make a big impact. You don't. And in fact, for some of the most successful people and fulfilled people I know aren't the ones with the biggest businesses or the most followers. They're the ones who show up for their family, pour into their clients, and create a life that aligns with their values. So here's something practical you can do today. Instead of focusing on how big something is, focus on how deep in connection it goes. Like maybe you want a smaller business, smaller amount of clients to really go deep into that work with them. If you're a coach, maybe, whatever product and services you're providing, maybe that's your goal. And that is dreaming big. And that is living in big impact. Instead of worrying about who you're not reaching, focus on who you're serving right now. I've always said, if I'm not willing to show up for the one, I'm not ready for the 100. I'm not ready for the 1,000. So instead of worrying about who you're not reaching or who's not liking your post or who's not, focus on who is leaning in, who you are serving right now. And for some of you, it might be in the home. Instead of pressuring yourself to scale, ask yourself, what actually feels right for me? what feels right for me right now. Because the power isn't in the size of your dream, it's in the heart behind it. The power isn't in the size of your dream, it's in the heart behind it. Do you want it? Do you want the large empire? Go for it. Do you want a smaller, deeper connection with your clients? And in order to do that, you're not going to build a big empire. Do that. So let's bring it back to you. What's one small thing you can do today that makes an impact? And don't downsize or don't, what's the words I'm looking for? Lessen the impact of a smile, of a phone call, of a compliment, of a conversation with your child, a conversation with a client, a conversation with a friend. But what's one small thing you can do today that makes an impact? And maybe that impact is in your business. Maybe it's creating a new product. Maybe it's creating a new service. Maybe it's going to a networking group where you can actually build connections and build relationships with people. Maybe it's sending an encouraging message, or again, having an honest conversation, or just simply choosing to be present. Whatever it is, know this: you don't need 1 million people watching to make a difference. You don't. We are so influenced or so conditioned these days that, our video has to go viral. We have to have all of these followers and all these likes. You don't need 1 million people watching to make a difference. You don't need to go viral to be valuable. So if this episode spoke to you, I would love to hear your thoughts. Maybe this did give you that sense of relief of the dream big, the go big, go home. And maybe you need to screenshot this episode and share it in your stories. And so others can maybe have this remix of their mindset on dream big. If you do that, please tag me in it so I can cheer you on. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to this show. And also, in case you didn't know, I have a mompreneur glow up email that goes out every single week where we dive into these topics and more, a little bit more detail, and they land in your inbox every single Monday. So you can go to martinewilliams.com and get on the mompreneur glow up email list. And until next time, less hustle, more heart. And remember, small steps still create big impact. So I will catch you on the next episode. And y'all know I'm believing in you always. Well, that's it, friends, for this remix moment. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. And I hope that you are feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Remember, even small moments can lead to big changes. If this moment made a difference, be sure to subscribe, share with your fellow moms, and leave me a quick review. Seriously, it means the world to me to hear from you. And until next time, I am believing in you, and I will catch you in the next moment.